everybody. When we first got the Honda XR150Ls, we promised you that we were going to put these bikes through the paces. So we had an idea that was kind of crazy, some of you may say, because we did something with these bikes that was never intended. We did a 16-day cross country, everything from sea level up to just over 6,000 feet. We went through 8 states in 16 days and put 3,200 miles on these bikes. On top of that, the majority of our time we moto camped. So shortly we'll be bringing you more information on how we did that.
We had a lot of fun moto camping, and we'll bring you some information about our gear and probably some of the places we stayed and things like that in some future videos. We mainly stuck to on-road adventures on this particular trip because I was still recovering from a hand injury from an off-road accident. It happens. It's just part of riding motorcycles sometimes. Unfortunately, we weren't able to do some of the off-road shenanigans we had planned, but those will still be to come in the future. We hit some of the motorcycle bucket list roads, and I think that y'all will find some of that information interesting. You'll probably also like some of the hair-raising moments that we had on our trip. Some of them were kind of humorous, and I think we really only had one that wasn't so funny. That's not my story to tell.
Yeah, we had a few really exciting moments during the trip that we will share with you in greater detail as we break down our 16-day trip.
One of our big concerns that we had before we set out to do this trip was just on the bikes themselves. They're new to the country, and there's just not a lot of info out there. So we'd done as much research as we could on our own when we first got the bikes, and try to make sure that they were going to be reliable enough and powerful enough to maintain safe speeds for travel. And
we did our best to find routes that were off the beaten path a little bit. Unfortunately, I had a little mishap where I was trying to turn around on a road and we inadvertently entered an interstate. That was not ideal. Luckily, the traffic was very light, and we were able to get off the interstate quickly.
Yeah, that wasn't intended, and believe it or not, it was okay, though. We were actually able to maintain 55. The traffic was light, and it wasn't really that big of a deal, but it wasn't something we had intended to do. We tried to stay off of the interstates on these bikes and just stick to slower roads and or two-lane roads where people have the ability to pass. So luckily that all ended up well. One of the other things that we wanted to mention was the other big concern we had was just general maintenance items or flat repairs or anything like that. These bikes do not have tubeless tires, so they do have tubes inside them, and about the only way you can repair that is to remove the tire and wheel from the bike, take the tire off, and either patch your tube or replace your tube. We carried spare tubes just in case they weren't patchable or anything, and all the tools that were necessary to remove the wheels and tires from the bike. And just something to think about if anybody considers doing something like this on really any bike with spoke wheels. Just a good idea to be prepared in case you need something.
Well, a lot of the places we went were actually fairly remote, and cell service was non-existent. So if you have a problem, it's always best if you can fix it yourself right where you are.
Yeah, there's a lot of places we went where it was, you know, close to 100 miles really between towns just about. And, there's not a whole lot of good ways to repair your motorcycle if you don't have what you need to do it.
Well, we packed all of our things in a set of tusk bags. We each had a set that consisted of tail bags and saddle bags. I did a video before on the tusk bags, and I'll probably follow up with a more thorough review after I've actually used the bags in a future video. The states we visited on this trip, we started out in Texas. We went through Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, North Carolina, Tennessee, and Virginia, and did a round robin.
It was truly an amazing trip. It's a trip that I've wanted to do for a very, very long time, and different circumstances it just really hadn't been an option. The planets finally aligned. We were able to enjoy this trip together, and it was a very, very nice trip. The scenery is just amazing. We saw some amazing roads and some really interesting wildlife, stuff that I don't normally get to see. A lot of people don't normally get to see. We'll share that with y'all as well.
We definitely have some favorite areas to ride throughout these states. We've spent a fairly significant time in all of these places, with the exception of Virginia. Virginia ended up being just as fantastic as everywhere else we went, and one of our favorite stops was actually in Virginia, and we'll share that with you in a later video. Unfortunately, we had to cut our trip short and head back home because there was extended rain forecast for the areas that we were trying to ride, actually across the entire South. So we had to make our way back west, dodging rain. We don't mind riding in the rain, but we did get caught in a downpour just minutes from our destination one night.
Yeah, my waterproof boots are kind of old, and they're not really waterproof anymore. So my feet were soaked, my boots were soaked. And you might want to check out our Smart and Simple waterproof socks video that we put out. It's a great cheap option when needed.
But we look forward to sharing our adventures with you in more detail, and we hope you will like, share, and subscribe.
Ride safe, everybody.